Before any word is spoken, before any sound is formed, you already know that you are present. This presence does not arrive with language. It does not depend on description. You notice that awareness is already functioning before thought explains it. Ibn Arabi begins his inquiry precisely here, not with the world, but with the condition that makes the world knowable. He asks you to question the assumption that individuality is primary. The Quran frames this origin carefully. I breathed into him of my spirit, 1529. If awareness is breathed, not constructed, then it precedes personal identity. You do not generate it, you find yourself within it. The question becomes unavoidable. If awareness was present before any word, any sound, any form, what exactly does the word I refer to? Ibn Arabi lived in Andalusia, a place shaped by theological rigor, philosophical reasoning, and metaphysical debate. Yet his concern moved beyond argument toward structure. He did not ask which explanation was correct, but what makes explanation possible at all. Knowledge, in his environment, was layered and hierarchical. Each certainty rested on another. The Quran expresses this structure without speculation. Above every possessor of knowledge is one more knowing, 1276. Ibn Arabi took this seriously. If every explanation depends on a deeper one, then inquiry must eventually turn back toward its own source. Knowledge does not end in answers, it ends in the recognition of what knows. You say my thought and my life as if ownership were self-evident. Yet thoughts arise without request, and life proceeds without consultation. Ibn Arabi identifies ownership as a conceptual habit rather than a fact. The sense of possession stabilizes identity, but only temporarily. The Quran states the principle clearly. Everything is perishing except his face. 28:88. If everything that appears is in the process of passing, then ownership becomes logically impossible. You cannot own what does not remain. What collapses here is not experience, but the claim that experience belongs to someone. When this is seen, awareness continues unchanged, but without the burden of possession. You may assume that awareness must move outward to meet the world. Ibn Arabi challenges this assumption by questioning movement itself. Awareness does not travel, it is already present. The Quran states this nearness precisely. We are nearer to him than his jugular vein, 50:16. Nearness here is not spatial, it is structural. If the real is nearer than thought, then distance exists only as an idea. The sense of separation is maintained by the belief that awareness belongs to an individual located somewhere. When this belief is examined, distance collapses. What remains is presence without position, awareness without travel, proximity without effort. Ibn Arabi explains that consciousness is not a container filled with experiences. It is the condition under which experience appears. Knowing does not belong to a knower. It is the activity of reality recognizing itself. The Quran frames recognition rather than proof. We will show them our signs on the horizons and within themselves until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth. 41:53. Signs do not inform God. They clarify perception. Inner and outer recognition arise within the same awareness. When this is understood, the idea of a separate observer weakens. Knowing continues, but without reference to a personal center. Awareness reflects without claiming authorship of what is known. Creation is often imagined as a completed event in the past. Ibn Arabi rejects this view. For him, creation is continuous disclosure. Reality depends moment by moment on the source that reveals it. The Quran confirms this impermanence. Everything is perishing except his face. 2888. Perishing here does not mean disappearance into nothingness. It means dependence. What appears has no independent stability. The sense of continuity arises because renewal is constant. You mistake repetition for permanence. When this is seen, the world is no longer taken as self-sustaining. Awareness shifts from objects to the condition that allows objects to appear at all. If creation unfolds as continuous disclosure, then the human being appears as the site where meaning becomes conscious. Ibn Arabi does not describe this as privilege, but as function. Awareness does not stand apart from creation. It participates in its recognition. The Quran states this immediacy. We are nearer to him than his jugular vein, 50:16. Meaning is not distant. It is closer than thought, yet you experience it as remote because you look for it outwardly. When attention turns inward, not toward feelings but toward awareness itself, listening clarifies. The question arises quietly. Who is listening when awareness is already present? Knowledge appears to accumulate, but Ibn Arabi shows that its deepest function is reversal. Understanding points back toward its own source. The Quran repeats the principle. Above every possessor of knowledge is one more knowing, 1276. Each level of understanding destabilizes the previous one. Ownership dissolves, certainty loosens. Knowledge becomes an echo rather than a possession. It originates, returns, and fades. When this is seen, the knower cannot remain intact as an owner of insight. Knowing continues, but without a claimant. Awareness recognizes itself without assigning credit. As understanding deepens, the sense of a separate listener weakens. Ibn Arabi emphasizes that realization does not eliminate awareness, it removes its boundaries. The Quran frames this as return. Indeed, we belong to God and to Him we return. 2:156. Return does not imply movement through space. It indicates the dissolution of false separation. If the listener dissolves, hearing does not stop. Awareness remains without a subject claiming it. Experience continues, but without reference to an owner. The question becomes unavoidable. Can awareness exist without belonging to someone? The answer is not asserted, it is observed. Silence is often misunderstood as absence. Ibn Arabi treats silence as completion. When explanation reaches its limit, reality does not diminish, it clarifies. The Quran restates the principle of impermanence. Everything is perishing except his face. 2888. What perishes is explanation, not meaning. Sound pointed toward something it could not contain. When sound ends, meaning does not vanish. It stands without articulation. Silence is not the opposite of speech. It is what speech was oriented toward. When this is understood, the need to speak dissolves without suppression. Beginning and ending appear as temporal markers, but Ibn Arabi collapses this sequence. The Quran states the unity directly. He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden, 57:3. If the first and the last are one, then listening did not begin in time. It was always present. Awareness does not start or stop. It does not wait for sound. What you call hearing is awareness recognizing itself through form. When this is seen, time loses authority over meaning. Origin and return reveal themselves as conceptual distinctions, not realities. Here, inquiry settles without conclusion. There is no answer held and no question remaining. Ibn Arabi's unity does not merge differences. It removes false divisions. The Quran seals this understanding. He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden. 57.3. Awareness stands without attribute, without listener, without sound. Nothing seeks explanation because nothing is missing. Stillness is not produced, it is recognized as what remains when identification ends. There is no voice to continue and no silence to enter. What remains is presence without claim, complete, sufficient, and unmoving.